Blessed are the Stoveminders, for theirs is the kingdom of baseball. Yes, the 2020 Major League Baseball season is just 2 months away. And as we sit here still in the throngs of winter, teams from around the league are starting to finalize their rosters, fill in those last holes, and have something of an idea of who's going to be playing on their team this upcoming season. Of course, the vast majority of notable game-breaking players are already signed somewhere, except for Yasiel Puig. Allow the intrigue to continue, and who knows, maybe one of these big blockbuster trades that's been hinted towards will actually go down. Starling Marte got traded, so the possibility is there for sure. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to give a couple shout-outs. One to Doulahan, one to whoever's been sent here from Reddit, to all the anonymous posters, and to ABG, the Asian baseball guy, for always coming through with good quality, informative content about the Asian baseball leagues, as well as international competitions. Now, just to give you an idea of what kind of a week it was for baseball, a lot of moves went down, but the highest money, most lucrative deal was worth a guaranteed $3 million, and it went to Mitch Moreland, who's going to be coming back to the Boston Red Sox next season. Yes, the Red Sox, who still don't have a manager, did have the time to re-sign Mitch Moreland 1 year, $3 million with an option. Over his last 2 years as a Red Sox, Moreland has been a .247 hitter with a .326 on base and a .455 slugging, pretty close to his 10-year career average. Moreland is a guy with 20-plus home run pop, and he excels as a left-handed hitter against right-handed pitching. And that means he's probably going to resume the platoon he had at first from last season with Michael Chavis, it's pronounced Chavis, who is a right-handed first baseman who hits well against left-handers. Perfect stability, but even more money to an already very high payroll, and Mookie Betts rumors continue to swirl at a rapid pace in Boston. Switching gears over to the NL Central, which was easily the most active division from this past week. The Milwaukee Brewers added yet another pitcher to their very deep staff, and that was right-handed reliever David Phelps. A 1-year contract guaranteed $1.5 million plus an option with just under $2 million in incentives. Phelps missed all of 2018 to Tommy John, but reassured us that he's still who he was in 2019, a season he split between the Blue Jays and the Cubs. Phelps threw 34-plus innings of .341 ERA ball, although with a lot of FIP, .458 in fact. Gave up lots of base runners, but his resume points to a solid mid-relief option with a high strikeout rate over his last several years. In his entire 7-year career, Phelps is a .386 ERA and a .392 FIP, although the 1.325 WHIP and a fair number of walks. But once again, a potentially good quality addition to a Brewers pitching staff that relies on lots of different guys getting mixed around and plugged in place wherever they need to be. And this next one does sting a little bit, because right-handed pitcher and reliever Pedro Strop is going to Cincinnati on a 1-year contract, $1.8 million in guaranteed value, which can be doubled if he fulfills all of his incentives. Strop, who spent the last 6 seasons pitching with the Cubs, is coming off a bad 2019. He was hamstrung, struggled with injury, and threw only 41-plus innings, which isn't too little, but it was the lowest amount he's thrown in years. Strop finished with an ERA just under 5 and a FIP of .453. However, his 10-4 strikeout-to-walk ratio was pretty well his career average. Strop is not a commander. Okay, he's going to strike out a lot of guys, and he's going to limit the amount of hits thanks to his high ground ball rate, but he also walks a lot of dudes, and he gives up a lot of home runs. So have fun with that, Cincinnati. I hope you like tilted caps. I guess to be objective, Strop had a very good run with the Cubs from 2014 to 18, where he was averaging 60-plus innings a year, ERA in the high 2s, FIP in the low 3s, and a nice 1.00 whip. Strop will be 35 years old next season, and he will be missed. This is going to be a very different bullpen for the Cubs now without Strop, no Cishek, no Kinsler, and Craig Kimbrell as apparently our best option. But a good add to the Reds, I must admit, if he can stay healthy and do better than last year and reclaim his former form, which I think is totally possible. And you know what? There will be some fun matchups next season. I'm looking forward to Strop going up against Cubs hitters and seeing what sort of shenanigans ensue, because as I said, he gives up a lot of home runs. And the Pirates, who've been pretty quiet this offseason, dished out a minor league deal to left-hander Derek Holland, another former Cub. A lot of ex-Cubs getting signed elsewhere this week. David Phelps was also on the Cubs last season. So, yeah, all these ex-Cubs relievers from last year going to other teams in the division. Great stuff. Anyway, Derek Holland, compared to Phelps and Strop, will probably be less missed. He did not pitch very well in limited action with the Cubs, 15-plus innings, FIP above 6, ERA almost 7. A walk machine, this guy. In 84 combined innings, he spent the most of the season with the Giants. Holland walked 4.8 batters per 9 and gave up more than 2 home runs per 9. Had a very bad year. His 2018 was a little better. His 2017 was basically the same as in dog shit. Across an 11-year career, Holland isn't exactly spectacular. An ERA and FIP almost even at about 453, 454. Does give up more than 3 walks per 9 with less than 8 strikeouts per 9. A lot of hits. Yeah, I wouldn't exactly be excited about this if I was a Pirates fan. Although Holland is something of a swingman, he can throw out of the bullpen or the rotation. I think the Pirates have needs all across the board. They'll figure it out with him. And you know what? Let's talk about those Cubby Bears. Let's shift over to Cubscast, because there were a few bits of Cubs news, none bigger than finally the Kris Bryant grievance case has been settled, and Major League Baseball gave us a no. A no, sir. Kris Bryant, you are staying in a Cubs uniform unless you get traded through 2021. That extra year of team control remains. And great news for the Cubs, of course. Great news for his trade value, because A, he stays an extra year, and B, everybody knows how long his contract's going to be. And already we are getting a very juicy rumor that the Cubs and the Rockies have been discussing a potential Bryant-Arenado trade. That would be earth-shattering. That would just be insane. That's 2 of the best third basemen in the National League switching teams. It doesn't really make sense for the Cubs because Arenado comes at a higher price tag than Bryant, and we all know how much ownership hates paying the luxury tax. Unless the Rockies were to pay the difference in salary, but even then, it's like, well, why are the Rockies getting rid of Arenado? I'd say he's a more well-rounded player than Bryant. You can easily argue he has a higher ceiling than Bryant. The one edge KB has on him is he's not a bitch. Arenado came out and said he felt disrespected by the fact that the Rockies were shopping him and then took him off the table. Meanwhile, Bryant was asked about how he felt about the lost grievance case, and he says he has no ill will towards the Cubs. What a professional. Kind of echoes what Anthony Rizzo said when he was asked at CubsCon about Bryant. He said KB his heart is in the right place. He likes being a Cub, and it's just business. It's just business. It's a Scott Boras, okay? I'm not gonna hold anything against Bryant here about rejecting the 8-year, $200 million extension offer or filing the grievance case at all. He's got the most powerful agent in baseball in his ear. We've seen how Boras does with his clients, whether it's demanding lots of money or holding out until late in the offseason or just being a general asshole. So anytime one of his clients is connected to any sort of, hard-headed, stubborn, off-season behavior, I blame Boras. And one more bit of Cubs news, and that is the finalization of the Steven Souza Jr. deal. It is a major league pact. Souza is going to be here on a 1-year, $1 million deal with $2 million in incentives based on plate appearances and not getting on the IL. Doesn't change my attitude. I still think this is a bad move. Eat that money. You've made this decision. Even I understand getting outfield depth with Castellanos and Kemp gone, but I understand putting the pressure on Happ and Almora and Schwarber to perform, but this is not the guy to pressure them. He's a career like 230 hitter. He sucks. He's broken. Yeah, you won't prove me wrong, Steven. Go out there and ball out. That's about it for this short Cubs cast, but I want to segue out with a Cubs related story, or a follow-up to what I talked about last week, and that is the fact the Houston Astros have hired former Cubs manager, longtime Major League manager, Dusty Baker to be their skipper. And details have emerged, and he had his introductory press conference, so we know what he looks like in an Astros uniform. But the Astros signed Baker to a 1-year contract with an option or buyout for 2021. And I just want to backtrack quickly because I forgot to add this, but with the grievance case settled, Bryant is now going to enter free agency just as the CBA expires and just as almost everyone seems to think Major League Baseball is going to enter a strike. So that really sucks for Bryant, and I'm sure lots of other players too, but that's for the future. What about the now, the near future, the Dusty Baker future? Yeah, a 1-year contract for a manager, very, very unusual. And it points to this very strange situation the Astros are in, where they still have a very talented roster, but they are being clouded in this cheating scandal, and anything they do next season is going to be talked about in conjunction with the cheating. So to bring in an experienced, well-respected, and old-school skipper like Dusty Baker is a temporary, if stabilizing move to go and show, hey, we're a serious organization. We're not going to have any clubhouse shenanigans this year. Nothing's going to get, cheated with Baker chewing his toothpicks. He's going to be throwing toothpicks at guys' eyeballs if there's any sort of cheating going down, right? But what does this mean for the Astros performance-wise? Because while Dusty Baker has a lot of experience and a lot of respect, he's well-liked, he's not exactly the most successful manager. 22 years at the helm of Major League ball clubs, the Giants, Cubs, Reds, and Nationals. Of those 22 seasons, 13 ended with a plus 500 record, and Baker owns a .532 winning percentage in his career. Compare that to, let's say, Joe Madden, 16 seasons managing .540 winning percentage. Or Terry Francona, 19 seasons managing .542 winning percentage. Or even Mike Scioscia, 19 seasons, the last several of which were at the head of a pretty so-so Angels club, .536 winning percentage. All those guys, better winning percentages than Baker. In the regular season, what about the playoffs? Well, Baker in 22 years has 9 postseason berths, which is nice, 7 division titles, and an NL pennant with the Giants in 2002. But he has a 23-32 postseason record. Not a good addition to his resume. Most recently, you will remember how he failed to take that very talented Nationals team with Bryce Harper anywhere beyond the NLDS. Not to mention the lack of success he had at the head of a pretty good Cubs team back in the mid-2000s. So, respected but not super successful. It would be cool if 70-year-old Baker could win a World Series, a clean title for the Astros, but I just don't see it happening. And if I was an Astros fan, I'd be a little concerned because if Baker has a bad reputation, it's for murdering pitchers, and I seriously mean that. Mark Prior's career was destroyed by Dusty Baker just not understanding load management. Kerry Wood became a reliever because of this guy. Homer Bailey? Remember when he got injured? Yeah, that was Dusty Baker. So, if I was Justin Verlander, I'd be concerned he's going towards the tail end of his career. If I was Forrest Whitley, the Astros' bright young arm, I'd be a little worried too. And if I was an Astros fan, I would pray for some of these pitchers because Dusty Baker does not have mercy when it comes to guys' arms. And so with that hiring official, That means only the Red Sox are without a manager here at the beginning of February, which is not very good for them. They are searching. They've been interviewing guys, but I'll keep posted to see when that happens. And also, the Astros are still without a general manager. I'm not sure if their owner is going to continue playing a leading role. He's been quite vocal, but I don't know if that's just because he had to answer for the cheating scandal. Let's shift gears to San Francisco, where a couple things went down. One of them completely expected. No surprises here. Pablo Sandoval is coming back on a minor league deal with $2.75 million on the table if he makes the big league roster. And I think he will, because Sandoval continues to play pretty well. He's just 33 years old, believe it or not. So last 2 years with the Giants, after he came back from that awful stint in Boston, he's played in 200 games with about a .258 batting average, a .312 on base, and a .460 slugging. Still Sandy, he still does his thing. You know what I mean? He is coming off Tommy John surgery that he had in September, but for position players, that's a 6-month recovery time, meaning he should be back for March, and if not, then April, very early in the season. I think he'll continue to split time between third base, first base, and DH. Again, I love when things like this happen, when it's just like, you know this guy's just going to come back to the team he's played with for most of his career or all of his career. So the Kung Fu Panda stays in San Francisco, and he'll be joined by a new teammate, and that is infielder Yolmer Sanchez. Also coming in on a minors deal. Yolmer kind of got the short end of the stick. He won the Gold Glove last year, only to get non-tendered by the White Sox as a cost-cutting measure, so they could go out and sign better offensive players, and they did so. Well, yeah, Yolmer, great glove over there at second. In a 6-year career, he has 27 defensive runs saved, and he also posts good numbers with the experience at third base. But as a hitter, over the last 3 years, Sanchez hits in about the 250s, with about a .310 on base, very little power, not super appealing, but you gotta respect a guy with good defense, I guess. He'll compete for the second base job with youngster Mauricio Dubon, who hit fairly well last year, as well as Zach Cozart, who, if he can be healthy, will probably not just play second base, but maybe fill in other spots in the infield. Good depth move for the Giants. As the Seattle Mariners signed some pitchers. First and foremost, right-handed reliever Yoshihisa Hirano to a 1-year contract worth $1.6 million. Surprise, surprise, Mariners signed another Japanese player. What's the deal with Hirano? Well, he came to the major leagues in 2018, had a good first year, followed that up with a bad second season, both those years spent with the Diamondbacks. All in all, in 2 years, he's thrown 119 plus major league innings of .347 ERA baseball with a .385 FIP, a 1.2 WHIP, a 9-3 plus strikeout to walk ratio. Hirano is kind of a soft contact ground ball pitcher. Again, a decent addition to the relief mix, especially for the Mariners, who had a pretty terrible pitching staff last season. So bad, in fact, that they felt compelled to go out and add Wei-Yin Chen, the disgraced lefty out of Taiwan, who cratered with the Marlins over the past few seasons, was just terrible out of the bullpen for them last year. Chen, like Hirano, a veteran. Hirano is 35 years old. Chen will turn 35 next year. Just 3 years ago, he was all right, and he's a guy with a lot of starting experience, and that's another thing the Mariners could use. So yeah, again, shout out to ABG. A lot of Asian players going to Seattle. And the Detroit Tigers re-signed shortstop Jody Mercer to a minor league deal. Not much of a surprise. He missed the first half of 2019 due to injury, but then he came back and turned into some pretty good numbers. In 74 games, he hit .270 with a .747 OPS, much better than his 8-year career average of .257 batting and a .703 OPS. So maybe they're banking on him to keep that production going, but even if he was to regress to his career average, not bad, especially for an offensively stunted Tigers squad. It does provide some depth. And Mercer will probably be their primary, if not only shortstop next year. I know they got some other pieces who they might give a run around. But yeah, Mercer coming back to Detroit. Got to mention it. And finally, for additions, we're talking about Matt Adams going to the Mets. The Metis are at it again, this time with first baseman Matt Adams. A minor league deal for the 31-year-old veteran. Adams did not do very well last season with the Nationals, nor the year before that. He's hit about somewhere in the 230s over the past 2 seasons, with an on-base south of 300. He's got the power. He's hit 20-plus home runs in 3 straight seasons, so that's nice. But, not super exciting. He is just 3 years removed from being alright. His 8-year career average still stands at 261 with a 778 OPS and a 106 OPS plus. Those are decent numbers. Again, it hasn't been like that as of late, but I think a good depth addition for the Mets, who are well uncovered at first base, but maybe could use some reinforcements in the corner outfield where Adams is able to play as well. He actually posts good defensive numbers at first, so they'll at least have that as a plus. And finally, a au revoir and an adieu to Curtis Granderson, who has retired after 16 seasons in the major leagues. Granderson, who will turn 39 years old in March. Yeah, it was about time. He's done his thing. 3 All-Star appearances, a Silver Slugger. He finished top 5 in MVP voting in 2011. Spent his career with 7 different clubs in those 16 years. 6 with the Tigers, 4 with the Mets, 4 with the Yankees, and then 1 each with the Dodgers, Marlins, Brewers, and Blue Jays. He was not very good in his last few years, but in his heyday was a all-right hitter. This is a guy who hit 40 home runs before. Okay? I was giving him some respect. Okay, there was a few seasons back when he was with the Yankees and the Tigers where he was actually a very good hitter. And defensively, I'll give him his credit as well. Again, earlier in his career, he was actually a good outfielder, and that regressed. But it was impressive that Granderson managed to stick around for as long as he did, despite the fact his production declined so much. I will say I will not miss his batting stance where he's like looking over the shoulder at you. He's like, shut the fuck up. Just but goodbye, Grandy. Goodbye. So that about does it for this iteration of the Stoveminders Cubscast. Yes, we're very late in the winter. There's not a lot of really good moves to report. However, we can take this time to look forward into the future, as in tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow? It's February 1st. It's no baseball. You're wrong. There is baseball, where it's warmer and not fucking raining like it's been all day. I'm talking about the Caribbean Series. Perhaps you heard of it. Perhaps you don't give a fuck. Well, allow me to give you a fuck for you to give as well. So the Caribbean Series is basically like the Champions League of Latin American baseball. It might be confusing because you look at the schedule, you look at the uniforms, you're like, oh, so it's the national teams of all these, Mexico, Dominican Republic. No, actually, these are all clubs. These are all teams. Like the champions of every single winter league then represent the country from which league they hail, and they play each other in a 6-team, 8-day tournament. Wait, what? Yeah, that's pretty crazy, especially because each of them plays each other, so 5 games each before a 2-round playoff. I'm talking about daily triple headers. From February 1st to February 7th in San Juan, Puerto Rico, there's going to be 3 games a day as all these clubs face off to see who's the best team in Latin America. Well, who's competing, may you ask? Representing Puerto Rico, the host country, is Santurce Cangrejeros, the Crabbers. Venezuela somehow has a functional baseball league still, and that will be the Lara Cardenales, the Cardinals. So if you're a Cardinals fan, you're cheering for Venezuela. Coming out of Mexico is the Culiacan Tomateros, the tomato growers. Hilarious. Representing the Dominican is the Este Toros, the Bulls. Panama is sending over the Chiriquí Astronautas, which you could just call the Astros, but let's not call anybody the Astros. The astronauts are playing. And finally, usually Cuba would participate. No surprises there. However, because the tournament is on U.S. soil, Puerto Rico, Matanzas, the Cuban champions, couldn't get visas So whoever organizes this tournament decided to call up Colombia, and they're sending over a team for the first time in Caribbean Series history, the Monteria Vaqueros, the Cowboys. So if you're looking for a dark horse, the Colombians are who you're going to choose. I'd encourage you to watch. I think this is probably going to be the best quality baseball you're going to see between now and like late spring training. So like over a month from now. I'm not sure about the streaming situation. I was trying to watch some Winter League baseball earlier this winter and it was hard to find, but this tournament usually gets a little more attention. So hopefully you'll find some streams, hopefully not in Spanish or maybe in Spanish, authenticity. So yeah, the Caribbean Series going down February 1st to 7th. But if you want true international baseball, the World Baseball Classic qualifiers are happening in March for the 2021 Classic. From March 12th to the 25th, 12 teams divided into 2 pools will compete for 4 spots in the world's best and only Major League sanctioned international baseball tournament. Who's playing, you may ask? Countries you had no idea even heard of baseball. I'm talking about Pakistan, the Czech Republic, Great Britain, Germany, France, which will be managed by Bruce Bochy apparently, New Zealand, the Philippines, Spain, who has played in the Classic before, as well as Panama, generally considered a decent baseball nation, Brazil, Nicaragua, who oddly enough has never played in the Baseball Classic before despite having a very illustrious baseball history going back to like the 80s and 90s, and South Africa, who competed in the first couple Classics. They'll be playing as well. It's kind of a mess of a tournament as far as like the ladder. I'm not going to try to explain. It's not a bracket, it's a ladder. But all games will be going down in Tucson, Arizona, which I think was a good decision by Major League Baseball because prior to that, qualifications were held in groups in different countries, which was cool as far as seeing the fans from those countries, giving them a chance to actually watch the games live. But to have it all in one place, I think is a nice sort of atmosphere, especially in Arizona in the spring when there's going to be so many baseball people around for spring training. I think it'll be good for potentially some of the Major League connected talent who might be fighting for a spot at camp or coming out of camp, who still want to represent their country or maybe get a little more experience in. The opportunity is there. So yeah, World Baseball Classic qualifiers going down in March. And finally, MLB Pipeline has released an updated top 100 prospects list for the 2020 season. Not a lot of changes from their year-end rankings in 2019, but I think it's good to note as far as the future of baseball, maybe some trendy Rookie of the Year picks, maybe some future superstars for your team or for others are high up on this list. So I'm going to go through the top 10, and then to finish off, I will talk about the 4 Chicago Cubs who made this list. Kicking things off at number 1, best prospect in all of baseball is a shortstop in the Tampa Bay Rays organization by the name of Wander Franco. This guy is just 18 years of age at the moment, and his hit tool is ranked at 80, which is the highest ranking. So he's already a major league level hitter apparently. Dude is a human toolbox. He's got like everything you can possibly need. However, we won't be seeing him for a few years. Again, he's a teenager. He's only played as high as Class A Advanced. MLB Pipeline says we'll see him in 2021. So hang tight, Rays fans. You will see Wander Franco soon. He's supposed to be everything from defense to speed to hitting. His power's good. He's a switch hitter. Just goes on and on. Wander Franco, future MVP, perhaps. Number 2 is someone who's already been to the majors, and that's Dodgers middle infielder Gavin Lux, who made his major league debut last year. Did all right in 75 at-bats, but he tore up AAA big time, hit almost 449 games in AAA. I think he's going to be on the opening day roster next season for the Dodgers, especially because second base is not exactly a solidified position for them. But yeah, Gavin Lux, he's number 2 for a reason. Left-handed hitter with a very good swing, plus power, and he's a good base runner as well. Number 3 is someone who I've already talked about this winter, and that is Chicago White Sox outfielder Luis Robert, who signed a 6-year, $50 million contract without ever playing in the big leagues. Why? Because he's that good. 22-year-old Cuban killed it in AAA last year, did even better in AA and Class A Advanced, went through 3 levels in the minors in 1 year. The guy's 22. The White Sox are looking to compete. They have a hole in center field. Robert will probably fill that. Again, good hitter, pretty good power. He can steal bases, and he's got a heck of an arm. He's going to be throwing guys out. Number 4 is the highest catching prospect, and that is Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. He was the first overall pick in last summer's draft. So in his first season in the minors, he only played in rookie ball in Class A. Hit pretty badly, but the guy is just 21, and he is a catcher, so he's going to take a few years to develop. He's already considered a very good catcher's catcher. According to MLB Pipeline, quote, pitchers love throwing to him. You'd love to hear that about a backstop. And his offensive potential, while nowhere near realized yet, is apparently there as well. Number 5 is the highest ranked pitching prospect in baseball, and that is left-hander Mackenzie Gore of the San Diego Padres. Gore is estimated to arrive next season, so be on the lookout. Could he be the next Chris Paddock? We will see. Gore, again a lefty with a high leg kick, has thrown as high as AA, where he did okay in just 5 starts last year. A multi-pitch arsenal, and he ranks above average at all of them. Number 6 is also someone we might see next year, and this guy I'm actually really expecting to play next year, and that is Angels outfielder Joe Adell. He went to AAA last year, did well. 20-year-old is... The Angels are a team that's just looking for reinforcements to come from anywhere, and I think Joe Adell definitely fits that pick. Number 7 is Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers. He was the first overall pick in 2018. His first full season of minor league ball, did pretty well in high A/AA. He's also expected to make his major league debut this upcoming season. Mize is 22 years old. Like Gore, I can see him getting called up somewhere in the mid to later part of the season, especially for the Tigers, where there's really no incentive to get him there as soon as possible, unless he's like tearing it up. I'm not seeing them rushing Mize to the majors. With the Padres and Gore, I can see them calling him up a little earlier. But yeah, Mize, potential future Cy Younger. And so is Nate Pearson, the number 8 prospect of the Toronto Blue Jays. Right-handed pitcher, 23 years old, also expected to be there next year. This dude's a unit. He's 6'6", 245. He's already made it to AAA. He did well there, tore up AA, all that good stuff. Heck of a fastball. Look out for Nate Pearson. Number 9 is the Minnesota Twins shortstop Royce Lewis. First overall pick in 2017. The 20-year-old is really freaking fast. Decent hitter. Yeah, it kind of sounds like Byron Buxton, right? We'll see how he turns out. He has played as high as AA. Hit about 230 there, so his ETA of 2020 I'm willing to question a little bit, especially since the Twins don't really need a shortstop that soon, but be on the lookout for Royce Lewis. And number 10, another shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. Second overall pick this past summer, just 19 years old. He's only played in rookie ball. Yeah, it's gonna be some time before we see him. He's got the tools, as everybody does. I just mentioned a whole bunch. I just basically went through my toolbox there, mentioning all these guys. So that's the top 10 prospects in baseball. Yeah, just 3 pitchers, 1 catcher, 3 shortstops. But what about the Cubby Bears? What are the Cubs prospects in all this? Well, their highest ranked prospect is Nico Hoerner, who's number 51. Hoerner, of course, already has made it to the majors, and he played well there in September this past season. And I'm expecting him to be on the opening day roster as well, especially with second base basically open. So probably his last year on the rankings, but that's good because it'll mean he's in the majors. Nico Hoerner. Number 68 is a left-handed pitcher, Braylon Marquez. The 21-year-old destroyed Class A Advanced last year. So I'm expecting him to take the step to AA, maybe even AAA this upcoming season. His ETA is 2021, so it'll be a couple years before, hopefully, we finally see a Cubs pitching prospect make it. Marquez is a power pitcher. Mid to high 90s fastball. Bring him in. Number 78 was an outfielder, Brennan Davis, 20-year-old who's played as high as Class A. His ETA is 2022, so it'll be a few years for him. Very high ceiling, but kind of raw outfielder, Brennan Davis. And at number 95, a name we've probably heard before, catcher Miguel Amaya. He will turn 21 years old next season. He's played as high as Class A+. Again, the tools are there, the catching is there, but his bat really needs some time. He's struggled to produce offensively, even in the minor leagues, which is why he's barely sticking around in the top 100, and it's kind of flatlined as far as the rankings go. Again, no big impetus to bring him up with Wilson Contreras sitting around, but 2021 is around the time the Contreras' contract will start to reach, its later stages, so yeah, those are the Cubs' top 100 prospects. Catcher Miguel Amaya, outfielder Brennan Davis, left-handed pitcher Braylon Marquez, and shortstop/second baseman Nico Horner. And who has the best farm system, you may ask? Well, they not only have the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, but the most players in the top 100. Tampa Bay Rays with 6, and that's after the Matthew Liberatore trade. So they had 7 at the end of 2019. Those Rays, you got to expect them to win a World Series at some point, right? We'll see. That's about all I wanted to talk about as far as Stove and Cubscast and prospects and some baseball for you to watch if you're starving for some ball between now and the end of March. Stove's not over yet. There's still going to be some moves to go down. Who are the Red Sox going to pick as their manager? Where's Puig going to go? And what else is going to fucking happen? I don't know. Stay blessed, Stoveminders.